Hello guys, in this session I'm going to show you how to trigger messages in FPM. So in order to trigger messages in the FPM, there is a message manager which was built inside the floor plan manager for the consistent look, and you have to use that particular message manager for the purpose of triggering the messages in FPM. So I'm pretty much going to show you how to get the reference of the message manager and then how to trigger the messages in FPM. So what I'm going to do is in this little example, whenever I'm going to click on the second tab, it is obviously going to trigger the process event method of the particular component. So in that particular component, whenever I'm going to click on the second tab, I'm simply going to throw an error message. So our intention is to know how to trigger the message. So I'm not doing any validation. I'm just going to trigger the message blindly when I click on this tab, because not only the tab, if I'm going to click on any of this button or any of this sub views, it is going to throw the message because everything is going to trigger the process event method. So I will go to the WebDyn Pro component which we have created initially, that is ZWDC underscore FPM1, and in that component process event method. So in that interface process event method, I'm going to write the logic to trigger the message manager. So before I do anything, the first thing that I would like to have is the reference of the floor plan manager. And once you get the reference of the floor plan manager, if you analyze that reference in the debugger, then you will be get a lot of information from that. What are the things that you can get from the floor plan manager and how you can work with it. So I would suggest you to put a breakpoint and then you can just explore what are the attributes and values that are stored in the stored in the floor plan manager reference. So I'm just going to declare a variable which is LO underscore FPM type reference to if underscore FPM, which is the interface for the floor plan manager. Then I'm going to get the reference of the floor plan manager using the factory class, which is CL underscore FPM underscore factory, and get calling the get instance method. So this is pretty much going to provide me the reference of the floor plan manager. The next thing that I wanted to do is to trigger the message. So in order to do that, I need the reference of the floor plan manager's message manager. So the reference to the floor plan manager message manager is, which is type ref to if underscore fpm underscore message manager. Whereas in WD you would be having that if underscore WD underscore message manager interface reference, right? That's exactly going to be the different one over here. So in the WebDyn Pro you had this if underscore WD, whereas in FPM you have this if underscore FPM. Now let's take a look at this if underscore FPM message manager. So this is going to have a pretty much only a little list of messages compared to that of what we have in WD. So the most common way of raising the message, if you look at any FPM application, would be to raise the report T100 message. So you can also raise an exception over here. If you do not want the message to be appear, you can just clear them, or you can also report a simple message which is not a warning or a error using the report message. Then you can also raise the exception message using report object message. So these are pretty much some of the exceptions, sorry, some of the methods and exceptions that we can raise with the message manager in FPM. Now what we are going to do is we are going to trigger the message manager, sorry, we are going to trigger the message using the report 100 message method. So this method, it's pretty much contains the message ID. So the message ID is going to take the message class, then the message number is going to take what is the message number in the particular message class. Then IO underscore component is going to specify in which component you are throwing this message. Then IV underscore severity is going to tell you whether the message is going to be error, warning, or information. Then lifetime is actually going to control the display of your messages. In most of the cases, what happens, the messages, they remain always on the top even after you start performing some other actions, right? So in those cases, you can determine the lifetime of the messages, like once you do some operation or you go back or you erase it, then you're just going to clear the message. So by default this is going to be automatic, and so that will be displayed as after, sorry, they will be disabled after the event has been refreshed. So basically this lifetime is going to tell you how long should the message should be displayed. Then in a normal message, when you trigger in the core app, what is the thing that you usually do is message ID, say message sorry, say message ID, then say message number with parameters, say message v1, say message v2, say message v3, and say message v4. We usually specify, we usually pass on some variable to the messages. So that is what this basically, this parameter 1, parameter 2, parameter 3, and parameter 4 is going to do. And in case if you are going to throw a report attribute error message, meaning that I wanted to highlight the input field with an error by a red color box, so in that case you can get the reference of the input field, then you can pretty much pass the element reference over here and the attribute name in which you wanted to pass, for which you wanted to throw the report attribute error message. So that's pretty much I wanted to show you over here. Now let's go to the coding and get the reference of the message manager. To get the reference of the message manager, I am going to, so once the FPM instance has been declared, the message manager also will be declared by default. So that will be stored in an FPM attribute called MO. So if you wanted to search for any object reference, you can just search with MO, and this is going to provide me the reference of the message manager. So I got the reference of the message manager, then I'm going to throw the message using the message manager. So I'm going to call the report T100 message, and I'm going to pass the message. So these are the three mandatory things that you have to pass. One is what is the message class. So I have taken a demo message class which is APB underscore FPM, and I'm going to throw this 009 message. So this is the message class, and in that message class you throw this message, and this is going to get executed from this particular component. So I have specified whatever the mandatory information. Now let's go and refresh our application. Since I have written it in a process event method without any validation on what is the event that has been triggered, anything that I'm going to do is going to hit the process event method and going to trigger the message. I'm going to click on the second tab. This is going to, this is going to the process event method. We got the FPM reference, then we are about to get the flow message manager reference, and with the help of the message manager reference we throw the message, and you would be able to see the message now. So that's it I wanted to show you in this little session, and see you in next session. Thank you.